Welcome everyone to the 2020 Autism Expo. This is the Southwest ICANN team. We're about to introduce them to you right now. All right everyone, this is Aisha and it is so exciting to have you in studio today. We are here today to of course celebrate everything I can. But most importantly, it's about getting to know our team members because it is great to introduce you to everyone, not only just at the Expo, but everyone wanting to get to know everyone at Southwest ICANN. So thanks for joining us.
It was great joining you. I'm really excited.
Now, tell me about what you do within the ICANN network.
So I'm employed with the ICANN network as a junior mentor in online classes as well as face-to-face mentoring. This is amazing to do, especially for the fact is it's something new that I never really experienced much, especially when I transitioned as a mentee going into mentorship, which was very interesting to do for myself. So yeah, I very enjoy working as a mentor, doing face-to-face and online mentoring.
At the moment, I'm just a mentor. Like if any of the other mentors need help or if they want me to come help with something, I go do it. Otherwise, I just wait for orders.
And we do send a few of those your way.
Don't know, I think I'm just a regular mentor.
You are a regular mentor, you're our up-and-comer, and you are from Camperdown. You are our senior network leader of the ICANN network Southwest.
God, it sounds scary when you put it that way.
I don't mean for it to be, but I guess I want to know today what you love most about the ICANN network.
Ooh. So I'm from a generation of autistics that grew up very isolated from one another. There was, well, it's the early 2000s, those support mechanisms were starting to develop. They weren't quite there in time to catch me or a lot of autistics of my age. So I think the best part about being in the ICANN network for me is just being able to support and nurture the next generation. I made a lot of the wrong decisions growing up, didn't always support myself or make proactive decisions in my education. So being able to support the next lot of autistics to really do what's best for them and really nurture their talents is just amazing.
When you're not at ICANN, and I know that I'm on the phone with you a fair bit, going, hey Kyle, can we have a chat? What's going on? What are you into? What gets you excited about life?
Well, in the last few years I've gotten into cars. Around the time I got my license, I sort of bought a pile of rust and turned it back into a car. So on top of that, Dungeons and Dragons, which is great for my literacy. I'm dyslexic, so it's about doing little things every day so that those skills don't atrophy. So reading, writing, numbers, all sort of work together for storytelling. As well as, I do a lot of work with the ICANN network. So it's cars, Dungeons and Dragons and work. But work is also my hobby as well. Like I'm very blessed to be in an industry where it doesn't feel like work. I sort of found my calling really early, which is great. So yeah, I'm hardly at work, but I'm always working.
I'm a gamer. I'm a vivid reader. I enjoy a bit of colouring. As much as I like to try and comment on history, most of the time I normally get my facts wrong. And yeah, I just enjoy living life to my best.
I've heard card games, I've heard computer games. When you're not working for the ICANN, what are you doing? What does life
besides
look like for you? Yeah.
I have a second job at a supermarket, which is with all that's been happening.
Yeah.
And I sometimes do writing in my spare time.
So other than working, which I really don't see ICANN as working, more as a fun job that I really enjoy to do, I'm someone who likes learning. I like doing art, I love reading, I love learning new things, which is something that I really enjoy to do. Like, I enjoy art. I want to continue on doing more artwork and more learning about things when I can. When I'm not doing that, I'm usually with my siblings and my family, which is a big part of where I am today, is having my family as a really close support group as well. So I really enjoy spending time with them. And there are occasions where I had to learn to pamper myself, hence the green in my hair. I do love going out there with my, my hair and my, just me time.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? About expressing yourself and who you are. And you know what the other thing I get a feeling of with you is that it hasn't maybe always been this way. Like I'm sitting across from you now and you are so confident, and the way that you carry yourself is with thought and process and just an ease about you. People want to be around you, but I've got a feeling that you haven't always been this way. What do you attribute to having this confidence that you've got now for us?
I suppose it started off with actually being introduced to the ICANN program. I was in my last year of high school, and that's hard for anyone on the spectrum or not. And I met Kyle and Fabian, who at that time were mentors. And to say the truth, I was probably at that time nonverbal to other people who I didn't know. I wouldn't talk or communicate. I was literally just the silent observer. Would clam on to myself when people asked me questions. So I suppose that I was lucky that they're stubborn and they worked a way to allow me to have the confidence. And I suppose being in the environment where I wasn't the only autistic also helped, because at that time I didn't really know anyone else who was on the spectrum. I was kind of isolated by myself. So being introduced to the ICANN program and going through being mentored by other autistics really helped me realise that it was all right for me to be different and that I should have the confidence. And then when I was able to have the ability to help other autistics with the things I wasn't able to get help with, I suppose that made me a lot more confident for the fact that I may be helping other people with things that I never had when I was younger.
Tell me about growing up, being autistic and navigating your way through all of it.
I mean, it was weird for me because I have 3 siblings. I have a twin sister, an older sister and an older brother. And my older brother is on the spectrum and also has an intellectual disability, so I kind of related to him a lot, and I never thought autism was that weird. I thought it was something made him really special, and I got along well with him, so I never saw it as much of a problem, and I never really got treated differently for it, I guess because people knew what to expect because my brother, because he was a lot stranger, but yeah, it wasn't too difficult. It was just trying to understand it from a young age. Like me and my twin sister, we did not get along because neither of us understood a thing about it.
And you know what? It's probably fair to say sometimes sisters don't get along that way. That sounds completely normal to me, actually. So you've really grown up in an environment where it's been like, all right, Alexis, let's get on with this. Like, let's get on with, getting through school and getting a job and getting on with things.
Yeah, I was never really told, about my autism in general. I was kind of just told, you've got things like your brother, but not quite there. So I'm like, yeah, thanks for that. That reassures me.
So you've joined in the ICANN network. What made you, say, sign up in the first place? Because I'm imagining that your first point of call was maybe for some sessions or maybe the camp, or what made you go, yeah, I think I want to get involved here?
One of my best friends in, I think it was 2016 or 2017, they're just like, oh, there's this camp or something on for people with this, on the spectrum. At the time, I didn't know my friend was on the spectrum because she's one of those really social people who are like, you would never suspect it. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go with you. And I had a lot of fun. I met Kyle and Aisha and Peachy and a bunch of other people, and I thought, this is like a lot of fun. So I started attending sessions and I really enjoyed it, and I'm like, I want to do this.
You're one of the original founding members of Southwest ICANN. 2016, I believe there was an infamous camp in which many of our team members met each other. It was, help me out to explain this, but from what I've heard, it was like this dawning moment where a whole group of people finally went, It's so good to meet other people just like me.
Yeah, it was certainly a fantastic experience to meet like a lot of people similar or even exactly like yourself, because you can actually relax and breathe and not have to worry about, well, personal images,
Yeah.
which is fabulous.
We do have a lot of fun. Do you think that's because we're a pretty welcoming group that's kind of like, hey, same but different, we love you all the same, come hang with us?
I guess it's that, and also it's just like there's a lot of people who share similar interests. Like I've met a lot of kids who enjoy video games. I've gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh because of Kyle.
You what?
Yu-Gi-Oh.
What is that?
It's a card game.
Yeah. An online one.
No.
Oh.
Oh my God, Kyle needs to educate you.
Yeah.
But a lot of the kids have like gotten into things because of Kyle and other people, and because like some of them are pretty niche interests, and you know, like considering Camperdown's is more of a place for kids who are just into sports and everything. So like if you're not into like footy and netball and that kind of thing, then you're just kind of an outcast. Whereas like say music and art isn't that popular, so. Meeting people who had similar interests in video games and such, it was really welcoming, I guess. So I felt very at home with everyone, and I try to make everyone else who comes into my sessions feel that kind of welcome that I did.
Kyle, the ICANN program, we've talked about this many times, is so strengths-based.
Yes.
So we don't focus at all on what a student can't do.
Exactly.
You are one of our senior mentors here for Southwest ICANN.
Yes.
How do you help a young person find their strength and then hang on? Because I imagine that at times we can lose our footing a little bit and then be unsure. So how do you help someone identify what their strengths is and then run?
It's first off, it's about language. If you asked a younger version of me, most of my mentees, what's something you're good at, you're not going to get an answer. That anxiety, that negative self-talk is often so present, once again, especially in young teenagers. They can't tell you what they're good at, but they can tell you what they love. So it's about changing that language entirely to what do you love? What do you do on your weekends? What do you do when you relax? Sort of extrapolate from there. I had a mentee a few years ago who knew engines and cars completely backwards, but if you'd asked him, well, are you good at mechanic stuff, language escapes me, they would have said no. So it was about readdressing that language and saying, well, okay, what can we do? Can we get you in a garage? Can we get you start focusing on this thing you love? And eventually they were able to turn around and say, oh yeah, I'm good at this. So yeah, taking that language of, it's about using some smart words and language and letting them develop, once again, letting them develop on their own. You can set them up for success all you want, but if they don't take that step on their own, it rings a little hollow. So you've got to let them discover that love on their own. Even if you are poking and prodding and pushing. I said this to Chris recently, the idea of being a silent cheerleader. You're still, doing cartwheels and handstands in the background, but from the front facing, they're making the life decisions, they're doing the learning, they're doing the growing. And that is so scary as a parent. But it's so important that as our autistics develop, like every other kind of young person, they have the ability to grow.
If there was one thing that you could say to mums and dads of a young autistic coming through trying to find their way, what would you tell them? And I'm interested too because I'm a mum of a little fella.
So they're not bad parents and they're doing nothing wrong. My mum often felt so isolated before I was born because I was diagnosed so late. She did the whole thing a lot of new mums of her age did, where she went out and bought a whole bunch of books and started talking to people and started, getting prepared for motherhood. So when I came along and I did not meet any of the conventional metrics of growth or of development or just of what a baby looks like and how they behave, she found it so incredibly isolating because, she had to take all the books and throw them out the window. But that didn't make her a bad parent. and it didn't make what she was doing wrong, and it didn't make her, a bad parent that her son wasn't, perfect. That there was room to grow. So they aren't bad parents, and they're going to be okay. When I meet a lot of parents of teenage autistics, they are struggling. They're right, especially that year 7 to year 9 period. That's such an important part of a young person's life. Oftentimes those are very, very difficult years. Right as they stop being a child and they're starting to transition into an adult, they're starting to ask questions and develop a sense of individuality. That's super confronting when you've got this little autistic who you've helped grow up and you've sort of sheltered and you've tried to keep okay, and now they are starting to push away slightly, and that is okay.
Oh, you mean I've got to let go at some stage? Is that what you're saying?
I know, it's terrifying, but eventually it does happen. And I see a lot of autistic parents, and parents of autistics who I always give the advice, it's create an environment where it's okay for them to fail. Because you learn so much more by messing up than you do from succeeding. And so for your own anxiety, you're still creating a safe space. They are messing up, they're doing it in a way that's sort of expected, but they still have that room to grow and to mess up and to sort of figure out, hey, my parents are cool, it is okay, and to sort of come back, because they always do come back.
I'm sorry, but there is no chance my kids are going to ever say that my mum is cool. That part I can assure you of. What about for teachers? I mean, you talk about, again, coming through high school and feeling so alone, and although we've seen so many gains now with teachers and schools being not just more accepting, but also bringing in programs like I Can, if there was anything that you could perhaps talk to teachers about in terms of having an autistic in their classroom to help them, what would your one piece of advice be for them?
So I suppose I should start with, there's no such thing as really a bad teacher when it comes to autistic people. I think it's more for the fact they don't understand more than anything. I think the information that they have is outdated, and what's going by facts instead of the person. I'm saying this because I had many teachers who were both amazing to teach with, and then also those where it didn't really get to me, like their teaching ways didn't help. And I suppose it's just the way they did it. So for a bit of my advice is ask the autistic person. As much as the teaching side of it, if we're asked and spoken to as a human being, especially through that time, and have a choice of how we learn, I think it worked out a lot better. I always would have thought how do I say this? When I was in high school, I always wanted to be asked whether I liked doing something or if I understood it. And I knew it was difficult for teachers, being one autistic kid in a room of 20-something other kids. There's many of them who all need help. And I kind of learnt that I needed to ask, or I needed to do the extra work. So I suppose for teachers, it's for them to talk to the autistic child, have meetups and plans so they can ask, if you're getting this or you're not getting this, how can we help you to get this? Or what can we do to get you to this point where we need you to be? Or what are some of the things that we shouldn't do as well? Should we have things in place that will allow you to concentrate? What type of plans do you want to have? I think if you have that in process, it becomes a lot easier. I realised that when I started making plans when I was in high school, when the teachers realised that I was dropping behind a little bit, that something was going on and they needed to fix it. So I suppose having the plans and having the one-on-one and then asking the kid, now what are you feeling with this? having them having a hand in how their education goes. Because it's not like I didn't hate school. I loved school and the learning, but not having the way to plan my own educational way didn't really help at all, because I couldn't understand the structure that was going on where the other kids would have.
And I think this is where the ICANN network comes in pretty handy, right? We get to communicate with our teachers weekly, and you guys are able to really help teachers now understand from an autistic point of view what needs to happen to make some of those changes in the classroom. Can you tell me about the important aspect of autistic people running this program? Because that's what makes us unique. It's not just people running a program for people on the spectrum. It's people on the spectrum running the program for people on the spectrum.
Like, I'd say probably the two major things about people on the spectrum helping people on the spectrum. One, we have a better understanding, so if there is a mishap or a miscalculation, we can solve it a bit quicker than others. And two, everything just flows more naturally because you're more comfortable talking to one like yourself.
Yeah, and we have seen definitely in Camperdown people being much more embracive. I think over particularly the last few years we've found that they're very, very kind and just want to help, but they maybe in the past haven't known how to, and we're seeing those programs really kick off absolutely big time. And you're a mentee, you go into one of the schools in Camperdown. What is the most rewarding thing about this? Because what you said just before was it can be difficult because it's a bit of a football community. So you're able to now work with those kids that may have felt like you did in the past. So they don't have to kind of go through that anymore now, do they?
Yeah. The most rewarding thing, God, that's difficult. It's weird because it's the primary school that I went to, so I know pretty much the entire layout, I know all the teachers, and so I can I feel like I understand them quite well compared to some other people. Like, if someone, like one of the other mentors came in, I might be able to I know more about the teachers, I know
This is
what
my
to expect.
territory.
Yeah. I know what to expect from them, and gives me a good idea of like the kids I'm meeting and like how supportive they can be, and it's just like it gives you kind of reassurance, I guess, that like the kids have got such good support community at the schools and everything. So I guess that'd probably be the best part besides just getting to know them and everything.
We're all about saying I can. It's not about saying I can't.
Exactly.
So when you're working with young people now, what is the most important thing that they need to know, perhaps that you didn't know when you were coming through?
Definitely that they have value. If you're a bit of an over-talker like me, you sort of develop a mechanism by which you challenge a lot of the things you go to say before you say them as a way of sort of self-regulating. But it's really reinstilling this whole idea that their thoughts have value and that it's okay to speak your mind and that we need to be receptive of what they have to say, and there's no such thing as a dumb idea.
You've been working with programs, and 2020 has been one of those kind of weird ones, but I know that you love being a part of the face-to-face programs the most. What is the best thing about helping out other autistics that are participating in the program? What's your favourite thing that you see?
My favourite thing with helping any autistic, whether it be on the group or just in general, is always seeing how they can improve themselves and watching them improve from shy to awesome. I always enjoy seeing that. It is fabulous.
Can I just say that again? Shy to
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's it. And this is kind of what it's about, right? It's really embracing. So we call the expo the autism. So we're putting the awesome in autism.
It always does work.
It's about being really proud of yourself, isn't it?
If you can be proud of yourself and can be accepting of yourself, then you'll do just fine.
How important is it to be proud to be autistic?
So, such a difference in the change in the last 15 years from going from a deficit to a benefit model. The general mental health and the vibe around the autistic community has changed so much for the better. Every autistic I meet now is so much happier. They are so much more excited to meet new people. They are chasing new things. They're more willing to talk about their special interests because, as opposed to coming from it from a place of, you know, when they used to do diagnoses, they would identify that special talent as an area of deficit. So because they are so focused on history in my case, that's why he's bad at English. That's why he's bad at maths. So by using those words, we're also teaching parents that therefore this thing they should be nurturing is bad. They need to get that out of their kids. But by using that benefit model, oh my God, language, by identifying that being autistic is amazing and that these areas of interest are amazing, we are enabling the next generation of autistics to continue to innovate and to lead and to be the awesome people we all know they can be.
You have been a part of programs where the students have started literally from the beginning, and part of doing the program is about being proud to be autistic. What's it like when you're in the classroom and you're working through the projects and things like that, and you start to see a child or a participant start to say, actually, I don't have to be worried anymore about who I am. I'm really proud. I'm really proud right now.
I also remember we do surveys, and I remember this was with Fabian for one of our primary school groups. It was the grade 3s to 6s, I think. And we were looking through the surveys, and one of the boys who seemed kind of distant in the group, who was like pretty social and everything, but didn't seem quite with the group. We had a look at his survey responses, and one of the questions was, what would you change about the ICAM program? And his response was, nothing. You can't just change something that's already perfect. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's weird when you get those responses from people, because it's just like, you just feel like you're doing this because you enjoy it, but you realise they're getting a whole lot from it. So I don't know, it's kind of natural seeing their growth. Like when I was a mentee, I didn't realise how much I grew. I only heard about it from Kyle and Fabian, and they're just like, you've changed so much. I'm like, I don't think I have. But I can kind of see it now in a way, but at the same time, not really. So, yeah.
You were in front of me today as this strong, confident woman. If you could go back and tell a young Aisha, hey, there's just one thing that I want you to know, maybe when you were about 15 years old, what would you say to her now?
That I'm not alone. You're not alone. I grew up when females on the spectrum weren't really heard of. At that time, diagnosis was only for males. It was unheard of for females to be diagnosed. So I felt very alone. I already felt different being diagnosed, but being classified as something that really shouldn't have been diagnosed made it a lot worse. So if I could go back to a younger Aisha, I would probably say that you're not alone. There are other autistics out there who go through the same thing you do, all have the same problems, all have the same little weirdness quirks, all have the same interests as you, all understand where you're going through, are willing to support you when you need to. And to just allow to trust people as well. Back then, I didn't trust very well. I thought that everyone was out to get me. I had put out a wall which didn't help with, myself isolating. So I suppose going back, I would say trust more and realise you're not alone.
What would be your advice to a young PT coming through? Let's imagine PT is about 12 years old. He's at school. What would you say to him now if you had an opportunity to talk to him and tell him what the future is going to look like?
Be more considerate about those trying to help you.
Do you think you have the confidence now to speak up for yourself in terms of saying, hey, I need more help with this, or I'm not understanding what you're asking?
Oh, definitely. If I'm struggling, I will intentionally ask for help now compared to, oh, I'm struggling, well, I'm just going to fall behind.
Yeah. Were you always so confident?
Absolutely not. If I can think back to my younger self, doing this thing would literally make him consider running away and maybe moving to America.
So look how far you've come.
Yeah, it shocks me.
4 years ago, 2016, Would you have ever thought that you would do something like this in a studio?
No.
Yeah, look at you go.
I feel quite uncomfortable just being here. I'm just
Oh,
like, why am
come
I, like, I
on!
don't deserve to be here. It's so
You
weird.
deserve to be here.
It's weird being here, so I'm just like, I never thought like I'd end up here or like with the ICANN doing something that I'd love so much, so.
Yeah, look at all you've achieved. We're trying to have a total rethink of autism. Here at Southwest, though, we're not just a rethink. We're kind of saying we're not just a family either, but we're a community wanting to make real change for other young people. So if someone is watching you speak and they're going, now this is a cool dude, he's into the gaming, he's got it all worked out.
Yeah.
What would you say to them if they're thinking though, I don't know if I'd really fit in here?
To any homies, peeps, whoever feel like that, I would simply very much say this. Always push yourself outside that area of discomfort, because there is always a better, more powerful, and more impressive person just past that. All you have to do is keep pushing yourself past minor inconveniences to be better and to show people you can be better.
I would say that I've mentored kids as young as 5 and as old, and it's definitely not kids as old as 22. I've worked with young men and women who range the gambit from, you're actually going to meet one a little later, that used to be completely silent, would not talk at all the way up to your very friendly chatterboxes and everything in between. There is always a place for you in the ICANN network, because it's not about us so much as it's about you becoming the best version of yourself. So yeah, there's always a place. And you know, nervous to the better. I always ask all my mentees any questions, queries, and or doubtful points. I love those anxieties. I love it when mentees are able to come up and have an honest conversation with me, because we don't learn and we don't grow if we don't talk about it. So they're feeling these feelings for a reason, so let's break it down, let's figure it out.
Come into it with an open mind and be willing to meet new people, because I remember the first time I went in, I was absolutely terrified. I was the only girl there, from the only person at my particular school who went, and I was absolutely terrified that first day. But after a while, I feel like I made good friends with everyone, and I'm so glad I went. And yeah, just go in with an open mind and be yourself.
What about if they're thinking, but I have all these triggers, or I'm going to get overwhelmed, or all these bad things are going to happen. They're telling themselves these stories. What do we try to do to try and support them through that?
When it comes to especially like triggers in any situation, whether it be classroom, whatever, think about converting those triggers into not a negative reaction, but a positive one. Start using those triggers to actually improve your life, or even just improve the life of everyone around you.
What about for mums and dads? So you know I'm a mum, I've got 3 kids.
Of course.
What about to the mums and dads that are thinking, okay, so there's this program, I'm not sure. What would you say to the mums and dads?
I would say give us a chance, because most of the time after giving us a chance, you realise, all right, yeah, this will do well for my kid, or we'll see how it progresses and then maybe come back to it. Either way, as long as you just give us the chance to show you what we're like and how we can do what we do, that's all that matters.
Hey, thank you, PT, so much for joining us. You are a valued member of ICANN Southwest, and it has been awesome to have you a part of the expo and this video today. So thank you so much.